Yip everyone, my name is David, this is Appa and you're watching BrickVault. Today we're taking a look at an extremely well designed LEGO version of the flying bison from the cult show Avatar: The Last Airbender from the builder Void. Not only did he do an amazing job at designing this beast, but he's also generally a really talented designer and a chill person to hang out with, so check out his Instagram as well. I myself am also a huge fan of the series, having watched it multiple times, the last time not even being a couple of months ago, and I also enjoyed the live action adaptation on Netflix recently, where we got to see this furry beast again, and for the first time in a realistic animation style. This six-legged flying bison called Appa is the best friend of the last airbender Aang. Appa is also capable of airbending, making him able to fly despite his heavy weight, and the arrow on his head is something that he also has in common with his owner. He is probably the coziest and safest form of transportation possible, and as a kid I always wanted to own a flying bison myself, because how cool would it be to be picked up from school in a flying bison? I mean, come on. Anyways, before we dive a little deeper into this custom build, if you want to build this high quality model for yourself, the instructions and parts list are available on www.brickvault.toys, or do whatever it says on the screen right now, because that leads you directly to the product page, where you can check out the exact dimensions, more pictures and the social media channels of the designer as well. We always test build each model ourselves and show to you in video form how sturdy the build is, and especially this one is built like a rock. I think this is the most dense build with the highest weight to size ratio of any mock we have available, so if you're looking for something playable and swooshable, this is the best choice for you, and I'd feel completely comfortable giving it into the hands of a child even. It has just shy of 2,500 parts if you count the stand, and you can see the dimensions of it right now, but if you need the exact numbers, just click the link in the video description. But to get a better idea of the size, here's an extremely cool and immensely oversized 1x4 brick with the BrickVault lettering on it, because confusingly scaled stuff is always a good comparison tool. Now I also wanted to see how it would look if Appa got attacked by a Jedi Interceptor or by Din Djarin, so that's that for you. Now, as you can see, Void included a black stand, which helps to make Appa look like he's flying through the air. For that purpose, you can angle his legs backwards. I like to angle his toes back as well, and the tail can be adjusted so it looks like it's gliding through the air. The stand gives it a really nice stance, and it's super simple and easy to connect to the underside, just via two axles. Sometimes it takes a couple of plates with it while moving it, but that's no problem because you can just simply put them back or leave it like this because nobody will ever look at the underside anyways. The legs are more than sturdy enough to hold up the weight of the model, and I gotta tell you, it's much heavier than I first thought. Definitely heavier than it looks for sure. I really like how Droid was able to make his fur actually look kinda soft and fur-like with Lego bricks, especially alternating between curved slopes and cheese slopes in the legs. Makes the leg fur look a little messier than if he would have just used one type of slope here. The arrow on his head going down the whole body has been really nicely integrated into the shaping and looks very natural. One of the coolest things about this build is the head, which is quite deeply built into the torso. That way the rather heavy head doesn't just break off if you put some pressure on it, but that way you can't tilt or turn the head in any directions. It is fixed in this position, which is a compromise that had to be made. Appa has a very cute face though, and you can actually open up his mouth, and it's not just one simple jaw, but there are two jaws that move if you open the mouth, which is a really nice touch. That way you can see his teeth flashing, and the build for the tongue makes him a little livelier. On his back, Appa has a saddle or carriage, however you want to call it. Most importantly, you are able to seat at least 4 figures in here, so there's enough space for Aang, Katara, Sokka, or maybe Zuko or Toph. I would have placed the official LEGO version of them in here if they weren't so expensive, so the 501st figures have to do for now. While we're here, I also really like the small build for the luggage in the back. Oh, and of course, you can also place a fig on the head, holding the bridle. I didn't even know the German word for it, but apparently it's called bridle. I love how simple it is to put back on its stand, and you can easily lift it up and tilt it with one hand, and the other can insert the axles in the bottom. Super easy. And while we're at it, here you can see me handling the model a little roughly, so you can see it is indeed built like a rock. Even on the stand, it's pretty secure. Of course it wobbles a little bit, but the stand is not coming off and you have to seriously bump into a table to knock it over. but I'd say you have other problems if you bump into a table that hard. So I'm totally comfortable handling it like this. I also haven't found anything breaking off while playing around with the model. It's just as easy as it is cool, and I love to have a build from one of my favorite shows in LEGO form in the studio. Appa is super easy to build and super affordable when it comes to custom building as well, with a price per part ratio of less than 10 cents if you're lucky. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can find the instructions and parts list on our website brickvault.toys to build the model for yourself. If you liked the build and the video, please consider liking or even subscribing if you don't want to miss out on future builds and content, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.